Hey Dream City kids, here for another episode of Storytime with Captain America over here at the Phoenix Dream Center. And today we have Hubert's Hair-Raising Adventure, written and illustrated by Bill Pete. But so I understand this is a little bit of a longer story than we've been doing. So if you'd like to sit with us for a little bit longer to enjoy this awesome story, then let's do it.
All right.
Hubert's Hair-Raising Adventure. Hubert the lion was haughty and vain, and especially proud of his elegant mane. But conceit of this sort isn't proper at all, and Hubert the lion was due for a fall. One day, as he sharpened his claws on a rock, he received the most horrible, terrible shock. A flaming hot spark flew up into the air, came down on his head, and ignited his hair. With a roar of surprise, he took off like a streak, away through the jungle to Zambazoo Creek. He leaped in a kerplash with a shower of bubbles, and came bobbing up with a head full of stubbles, all stubbly headed. At first he just stared with a wide open mouth at the cloud of black smoke drifting off to the south. Then he felt with his paws just in back of his ears, and he suddenly realized his worst of fears. "I'm ruined," he shouted. "Oh, what'll I do? I'd rather be dead or go live in a zoo. If anyone sees me, oh, what a disgrace. So I'd better discover a good hiding place." He looked all around until he finally spied an old hollow tree with a hole in one side. He squeezed himself in, but the fit was too tight. The last half of Hubert was still in plain sight. Along came a bird with a very large beak, and asked if she too could play hide and seek. It was nosy old Hornbill, who knew everyone, was the neighborhood gossip with nothing to do. Her eggs were all hatched and her children had grown, so now she made everyone's business her own. "Good gracious," she said when she peeked in the tree, "your mane's disappeared, you're bald as can be. How did it happen? I've just got to know. Please tell me, Hubert, and then I must go." So the lion related with obvious pain how he'd managed to burn off his elegant mane. "I must say," said the bird, "that's really absurd, but I'll keep it a secret. I won't say a word." Then she fluttered away just as fast as she could to broadcast the news to the whole neighborhood. And so in just about no time at all, a group of his friends came to pay him a call. A wrinkled old elephant and a giraffe, a hyena with spots and a snickering laugh, a zebra, a rhino, a skinny old gnu, a leopard, and finally the hornbill bird too. "Come out," called the bird, "and let everyone see." But there wasn't a sound from the old hollow tree. "Please," said the elephant, "we won't make fun. We're here to consider just what can be done." "You've no need to be shy," said the gawky giraffe. "The hyena's promised he'll try not to laugh." Sounds like a hard promise for a hyena. So Hubert called outside to show them his trouble, and sighed. "You can see there's nothing but stubble." "A most serious problem," the elephant said, as he studied the surface of poor Hubert's head. "It will never grow back, you can be pretty sure, unless we can manage to think of some cure." "We could make," said the zebra, "a wig out of weeds. Or fine," said the rhino, "some hair-growing seeds. With some cloth," said the gnu, "and a needle and thread, we could sew a big cap that would cover his head." "I know," said the elephant. "Wait just a minute. I remember your cure, but I can't think what's in it." He thought, and he thought, and he flapped his big ears, and then he finally said, "It's crocodile tears." "There's a croc in the swamp," said the bird with the bill, "and he lives just a mile west of Old Monkey Hill. It's a horrible place," said the gnu with a groan. "And a spot," said the leopard, "that's best left alone." "Come on," said the elephant, "don't be faint-hearted. Just hand me that bucket, it's time we got started." "I think that I'd better not go," said the gnu. "You know I'm just over a case of the flu." And the leopard said, "I've a sore spot on my toe. If it wasn't for that, I would just love to go." "I have a stiff neck," said the gawky giraffe. "Me too," the hyena put in with a laugh. "I'm afraid," said the rhino, "I'd be in the way." I'll go, said the zebra, but some other day. So the elephant said with a look of disgust, I suppose I can go by myself if I must. And he lumbered away down the dark forest trail, flapping his ears and switching his tail. The going was easy the first mile or two, except for some trees he could barely squeeze through. Then he made a sharp turn and the trail disappeared. He had come to the swamp, to the place they all feared. And he stopped for a second, one moment of dread. Then he thought of poor Hubert and forged on ahead. He plowed like a tank through the tangles of brush, and he struggled through mud that was thick as cold mush, till he saw a deep pool through the mist and the fog, and in the water an old rotten log. But logs have no eyes, and as everyone knows, no ugly fat flippers or scaly green toes, or long rows of teeth that stick out when they smile. But this log, of course, was a big crocodile. Good day, said the crafty and creepy old croc, as he slowly crept out to recline on a rock. And what brings you here, Mr. Flapperjack Ears? The elephant said, just to borrow some tears. I'm sorry, the crafty croc said with a sigh, but I never shed tears, and it's useless to try. Why, only last week I swam in the lake. I swallowed a very dear friend by mistake. At the time, I admit, I felt some regret, for you see my poor stomach was slightly upset. But I have an old saying that's ever so true. You can't have your friends and eat them all too. Oh my goodness, this crocodile is a menace. But what do you want now with crocodile tears? You really don't think that they'll shrink your big ears? Oh no, said the elephant, they aren't for me. The tears are for Hubert the lion, you see. Then he told about Hubert, not changing a word, of the story he'd heard from the nosy old bird. Now the croc listened, he started to grin, from in back of his eyes all the way to his chin. And then all at once he threw open his jaws and exploded with laughter and great loud guffaws. He held both of his sides and he staggered around until soon he was flopping all over the ground. And the elephant saw, to his happy surprise, that tears started to come from the crocodile's eyes. They rolled down his long face, all sparkling and green, like beautiful emeralds fit for a queen, and they dropped in the bucket just under his chin, that the elephant put there to capture them in. And when the old croc at last managed to stop, the bucket was filled pretty near to the top. That's fine, said the elephant. Now if I'm right, poor Hubert will have his new mane by tonight. So thank you, my friend, you are very kind-hearted. And then with a hasty goodbye, he departed. He got happy, laughing tears from him. The long journey back was a difficult trick, with a bucket to carry and a fog growing thick, and with great swarms of gnats flying into his face. He crept through the swamp at a very slow pace. He tripped on a hippo and bruised his left knee and tattered one ear on a prickle-thorn tree. But strangely enough, he completed the trip without tipping the bucket or spilling one drip. His friends were amazed, and they had to confess that they never expected 1 ounce of success. Please tell us, they said, how on earth did you do it? An old trick, said the elephant, nothing much to it. Come, Hubert, he said, soak your paws in the tears, and rub on your head everywhere but your ears. And now then, he added, when this was complete, you'd better relax and get comfortably seated. So Hubert climbed onto a boulder nearby, where he sat very still, staring up at the sky, while his friends sat around him all ready to shout at the very first sign of his new mane to sprout. Sounds like they're kind of impatient. 1 minute passed by, and then 2 and 3, but still Hubert's head was as bare as could be. It's no use, said the bird, it's a foolish mistake. That's right, said the rhino, it's all a big fake. Or a horrible joke, said the gawky giraffe. So the hyena laughed his most horrible laugh. But the elephant said, it's still soon to tell. This hair-growing business might take quite a spell. You mean, said the zebra, a whole hour or two? or maybe 10 years, said the skinny old gnu. They watched and they waited till way after 9, but still nothing happened, not even a sign. At last they grew sleepy, and then pretty soon there was no one to watch but a big yellow moon. And with no one to question and no one to doubt, Hubert's bare head was beginning to sprout. It grew very thick and it grew very fast, and before even more than 10 seconds had passed, the elegant mane was completely restored, while its owner, poor Hubert, slept loudly and snored. But I'm sorry to say that it didn't stop there. It was only the start of his fast-growing hair. It spiraled straight up in a great golden crest, then off to the south, the north, east, and west. It went swirling and curling and crawling and creeping all over his friends who were still soundly sleeping. It curled around their feet and it swirled around their knees. It crawled up their backs and then up through the trees. Then it spread through the jungle in great golden waves, around bushes and boulders and onto the caves. When the tears were used up and the growing diminished, and Hubert's remarkable mane became finished. Next day, in a tree where she'd perched for the night, the hornbill awoke to this very strange sight. "Oh dear me," she cried with a wail of despair, "the whole world is totally covered with air. Oh, please wake up, Hubert, wake up everyone, and see what your crocodile cure has done." They all wakened slowly with yawns and deep sighs, all groaning and stretching and rubbing their eyes. Then they stared for a second with mouths open wide. "Jumping Jehoshaphat," somebody cried. "It's fantastic," said Hubert, "amazing indeed, but you know there's a little more than I need." "It's a mess," moaned the rhino, "a horrible bungle. Just look," groaned the gnu, "it's all over the jungle." "We're trapped," cried the zebra. "Oh, what can we do? We've got to get out of this tangled up stew." Then they all got excited and started to riot, except for the elephant. He shouted, "Quiet! Please stop it," he pleaded. "We're getting nowhere. Besides," cried poor Hubert, "you're pulling my hair." In a crazy mad scramble, they thrashed and they plunged. They kicked and they butted, they leaped and they lunged. But the more they all struggled, the more they got wrapped in the big knots and tangles that had them all trapped. "We're stuck," said the elephant. "Now what we need is some scissors if we're ever going to be freed." "The baboon," said the bird, "has a rusty old pair, and not only that, but he loves to cut hair. And if you'll all promise he'll not go away, I'll fetch him right now without further delay." All right, the bird's gonna go ahead and get the baboon. But she couldn't fly straight off to Old Monkey Hill, not with a beakful of gossip to spill, and I'm sorry to say it was late afternoon before she returned with the barber baboon. For a while the old monkey sat rubbing his chin. It was hard to decide where he ought to begin. At last, with a flourish, he started in clipping, his rusty old scissors a-squeaking and snipping. He lopped off whole armfuls of wavy gold locks and stacked all the trimmings in big golden chocks. He lined them in rows very tidy and neat, much the same way a farmer stacks wheat. But as he progressed, it required more care to avoid ears and tails that were mixed in the hair. Sometimes he slipped with the rusty old shears, and he snipped a few nicks in the elephant's ears. He clipped off the tip of the tail of the gnu, and the leopard lost whiskers. In fact, all but 2. Oh my goodness. Then finally he came to the last pile of hair. "Watch out," said the elephant, "Hubert's in there." The barber clipped on till the job was all done. "There now," he said, "does it please everyone?" "It's too round," said the bird. "Take some more off the top, then a bit off the sides, then I think you can stop." So he clipped a big scissorful straight off the crown, and then from the ears he went snipping straight down. The elephant said, "That's no way to cut hair, for now I'm afraid it's entirely too square." "Oh, please stop," said Hubert. "I'm sure it will do. There'll be nothing left by the time you're all through." Just you're all that hair, you don't want to cut it all off. "And besides," he went on with a very smug smile, "I've always wanted my own special style." that there's no other lion exactly like me. You can search every jungle, each circus and zoo, from San Francisco to Timbuktu. But I doubt that you'll find, though you'll look everywhere, a lion whose mane is so perfectly square. So there. Well, that was just a fun, hair-raising adventure, wasn't it? So again, wash your hands, be safe, be good for your parents, enjoy time with your family, and God bless you all.